Am I hitting the button or are you hitting the button?
I hit the button. Let's go. Welcome everybody to the fifth down. No fancy intro this week. Short week for both me and the captain, but oh boy, week five.
Yeah,
What?
there's really not a whole lot to talk about. If you don't know by now who won what, um, our bad. You should have we should have went live yesterday, but we're not gonna get you a recap today. But what we are going to talk about is a few different things that's going on around the league. Mainly, let's start with the Devante Adams saga. This is a new thing that's developed over the last few days, I guess. At the end of the game, he pushed a cameraman down. The cameraman then pressed charges, and he's being brought up on misdemeanor charges for battery or something of those, something of that nature for this. So we're going to see what's going to happen with the league, how the league is going to, if the league is going to suspend him because it didn't technically happen during a game. We got the whole Aaron Donald situation again, right? He walks free from swinging helmets because it didn't happen during a game. Same thing here.
Yeah. Okay. I that
I don't know.
context. No. No. No suspension in that context. No suspension.
Right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if they levy one on Devante Adams because it took place after the game, yes, he was still on NFL property, but so is the practice field. So
Yep.
it's like if Aaron Donald can get away with swinging helmets and almost killing somebody, I think Devontae Adams get away with a little push without a suspension. But
Yeah, and I mean,
there
look,
is the misdemeanor
they
charges that's involved.
the
It's not
charges
an
are where it's
earthquake. I
gonna.
moved my stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we're in Louisiana. That's probably not gonna happen. So yeah, I mean, look, don't he allegedly he the cameraman kind of got in his way when he was going to the back, and he pushed him out of the way, and he didn't realize he pushed him that hard. So it'll shake out, but I mean, look, you get and yeah, but I mean, he just pushed that guy. I mean, if you haven't
Yeah,
seen the clip,
he
hold
pushed
on
him
one.
kind of hard. To say I didn't push him hard, he pushed him kind of hard. I mean, there's a difference. You can or you can, and he gave him the good old. He gave him the second one. So I mean, it's kind of I don't know what the league's going to do here. Normally, I would say it's going to be a suspension, but with the way things have been panning out, you never know.
Frustration from Adams, and whoa, whoa, whoa. Can't have that as Adams leaves the field. The frustrations on this evening bubbling over. And
Yeah, so
When you look
that's
at it, you don't really know. I mean, I think we're making mountains out of this molehill because there's not a whole lot to talk about this game other than the fact that um, the Raiders aren't very good. Their head coach isn't the right guy. We talked about this as well. Josh McDaniels. We talked about this. Another Belichick assistant coach headed somewhere else to go, you know, try at a head coach position. It's his second round. He did it in Denver. Now he's doing it here again. So I mean in LA. So we'll see what happens. We'll probably have more on this next week once we figure out what's going on. But that's it for that. You know, you said you wanted to talk about some more referee bashing. I guess we can call it.
well, okay. So it's been kind of beaten to death all week, and Troy Aikman actually made the point, and of course he says, "Oh, we need to undress the penalty," and of course Twitter gets their panties in a bunch
And there you
because
go. Yeah, that's what we do.
because he
Yeah,
said
that's the
undress the penalty. Like what the hell, dude? The guy just
yeah
said something. Who cares,
yeah
right? And everyone's called sexist, but that's the sideshow. The problem is the penalty. Okay, so in the NFL, it is roughing the passer if you tackle the quarterback in such a way where you put all of your weight on him, basically. and it's kind of meant to corral these like smother tackles and the stuff that when you do, when a 320-pound D lineman lands on a quarterback, yeah, he's 200, 260, in Josh Allen's case, but you land on a quarterback, a lot of injuries happen, right? And I mean, we've started protecting the quarterback ever since Lawrence Taylor.
Entirely too much. I'm sorry, entirely too much.
But it's just, and this is the kind of tackle that happened to Tua too, right? It was just that wrap up tackle and the wrench.
But let's break that down actually, because the Tua tackle, when the guy grabbed him, he slung him to the ground and it caused him to hit his head on the ground. So yes, that was textbook 100%. That was roughing the passer. I don't remember if it was called on that one, but it should have been if it wasn't. That was textbook roughing the passer, 100%. And then I think it was Tom Brady last week. Was that last week with the Tom Brady call? Or was that this week? I don't remember. It's all a big blur now. This season has been just so crazy and stupid that I don't really even remember what's going on and when it's going on. But the Tom Brady one was not rough in the passer.
Correct.
I don't really remember exactly the situation on why they called it. And then again this week you had it with the Chiefs Raiders game. You had a no call on Mahomes. They same tackle that they did on Tua.
Same tackle.
They slung him to the ground, but they didn't call it on that one.
No, it's actually on
textbook. No, this one was on Mahomes. The no call was on Mahomes. They didn't call this one. They slung him to the ground just like Tua. It should have been called. And then David Carr had one where it was more like Brady-esque, where the guy landed on top of him. But the situation in that one was the defender caused a fumble, recovered the fumble, and then landed on top of Derek Carr. And they called
roughing the passer.
Now,
when it should have
by
been
the definition, right, but by definition in the book, it falls in those guidelines because the defender landed on top of him with his full body weight. So that goes down to the judgment calls that they make and everything in there. And I'm not defending. I think that rule needs to be changed. I think that's a bogus call, a big bogus rule.
Absolutely.
The refs, you can say what you want about them, but in that situation, by the rules, by the way it's written in the rule book, they did get it right, however wrong the call was.
And look, I am of the mind that you got to let the guys play, okay? It's a tough game. It's a rough game. They get paid millions of dollars, and their bodies get beat to shit. They need knee surgery when they get older. They have a problem with weight gain when they get out the league. All these other things that come with playing football. And part of the game is hard hits. But when you're talking about and this is where I'm with, a lot of the commentators like, okay, how else is he supposed to tackle him?
Oh, I agree.
How else are you supposed to tackle these quarterbacks that are built like linebackers now, right? Josh Allen. Patrick Mahomes is a big guy. Derek Carr is a big guy. Lamar Jackson's not big, but he's stocky.
Lamar's pretty bulky, dude.
Yeah, and I mean the quarterbacks are just getting. They used to just be kind of that taller, but now narrower. Now they're just built like linebackers, right? And tight ends.
Well,
so you like honestly, Taysom Hill. How do you tackle Taysom Hill?
You can't.
I mean, if you can't get and if you and you have to get low, and you can't get low on a quarterback because that's a chop block.
Well,
or whatever they're going to call it.
So
how are you supposed to tackle? How are you supposed to tackle? How are you supposed to tackle? Because that's honestly, a good tackle to me. You wrap up the body and you use your weight to bring him down. That's a good tackle. You're not using your helmet.
Yeah, but you're not supposed to. You're not supposed to fall on top of him. You're supposed to do that and then fall to the side. You're not supposed to.
I know.
Well, they need to defy the laws of physics to figure it out, dude.
I mean, obviously, we need some Unreal 4 graphics in this
Yeah,
bitch. You know, give me some.
honestly, the next. I mean, they do it in Madden all the time. It's all glitchy, and they don't. They suck anyway. But honestly, if they want to protect the players the way that they're saying they want to protect the players, it's gonna have to go down to where the quarterback has to wear flags, and you pull the flag down, and if you get the flag off, he's down, regardless of what's happening. That's the only way they can do it because you can't touch a quarterback you can't touch a quarterback to tackle him right now without getting the call, and it's taken away from the game. It's making it hard to watch because it always seems that they make these calls at a moment in time where it just completely changes the momentum or it changes the flow of the game, and that's where you and I both agree that the refs have too much power here to do this, to change the flow on the
This
games. And we talked
arbitrary
about
shit.
this, yeah, and maybe they need to write the rules better. They need to do something. I mean, me personally, this year, what I'm seeing in the league is the amount of concussions is. I haven't done the research. I haven't put the numbers together, but I have to say it's either more high profile or there's a lot more that's taking place.
I think it's
And
more
with
high
the league,
profile, and
with
they're paying more attention to it because look, everyone's worried about it right now. But I mean, look, concussions are going to be part of the game. They always have been. They always
yeah,
will be. When
but
you're getting hit
I
at like as hard and fast as these guys are, you're going to go to the ground. You're going to bang your head at some point, and you're going to get a concussion. Look, the helmets are getting better and better and better. You know, they're doing the best they can to protect these guys because look, it's not just their health, right? The owners, it's in their best interest to keep their guys healthy, right? So they're going to do all the things that they can do to make sure that their guys are taken care of because you want to take care of your employees, right? And
yeah
you invest a lot as a team, as an ownership in these players, and you want to keep them as healthy as possible. You know, that's why they do that minimal stuff in the off season. That's why they don't let them ride motorcycles anymore. After what happened to Ben Roethlisberger, you know, it's just the league is going to protect everybody, but I think this just adds to that. It's not a perception because it's fact. It's fact. The league is over penalizing, and we have too many penalties on things that shouldn't be penalties. There's no
yeah
denying it. I understand protecting the players, but I think that this is becoming, like you said, it's going to be flag football in a
yeah
couple of years.
and I mean it to me it's just taken away from the enjoyability of the game. When you're dealing with this on a weekly basis and you're watching these games, the flow of it, the actual game change because of these bad calls, either from the rough situation. And look, I agree, you got to do what you have to do to try to protect these guys. And I mean, these are the faces of your franchises. You can't have a winning team without it, and that's why they put so much emphasis on the quarterback itself. But I mean, you have to be able to tackle them. You have to. You have to be able to. They have to be able to live through a football play. And if they can't do that, then wrap them up in saran
There's no
wrap.
point.
I mean, wrap them up in bubble wrap and throw some flags on them and just make them play flag football where everybody else gets beat the hell out of.
Yeah, and I mean, look, for the most part, dirty hits have been taken care of, right? You don't see a lot
Yeah,
of dirty hits
I
anymore
mean,
because
you still have that happen.
the league is still fining people on the back end that we don't hear about for those kind of hits, and I think it's just cleaned the game up a lot. But at the same time, it's like we're just what the hell?
Yeah, I mean, it still happens, but I mean, it's not as often as it used to be. It's not as egregious as you said. It's just not out there as blatant. But they do still have dirty hits, but they've done a lot to limit those. But once again, like we said, it's we're leaving it too much into the hands of the referees to make arbitrary calls. I think the rules need to be written more solid instead of leaving judgment calls into play. And I think if
Yeah,
it's going to be a judgment call, it has to come from offsite. It should, if you're going to leave a judgment call, it needs to be called, and then it needs to be figured out in New York. Let somebody who's not there at the stadium or whatever that can stare at a computer and do it different. Let them be the judgment call, in that situation. But
Absolutely. And
we're here again. We're here again in week 5. The same thing we're doing. The same thing we talked about in week 4. Week 3 and week 2 and week 1.
yeah.
Just bullshit calls by the referees, and it does. It changes the flow of these games, and it can cause your team to lose.
Well, I mean,
and
look,
I agree with the other people
Kansas-
who say it shouldn't come down to one call, but sometimes it just does. There's not a lot you can do about it. You play the game, and it can come down to one call.
And that's what it changes. Like look what happens if that fumble gets turned in Kansas City's favor, right? All of a sudden it's 17-7 and Kansas City gets the ball, and they've got a chance to tie it up before you get to, well, not tie it up, but get another score on the board before you get to halftime. It changes the flow. Now Kansas City came back; they won that game because the Raiders did something really stupid. But
and they're a better team.
Well, no, but the Raiders lost that game. Kansas City didn't win it. Okay, let's get that straight. You do not go for 2 with 4.5 minutes left. You just kick the damn extra point.
Okay. Analytics says you do, so they did. Now, where they lost the game, and you can about it all you want, they're going for 2 and whatnot. But what you do where they did lose the game is you allowed Travis Kelce to score on you 4 times. I mean, at what point do you figure he's been in the end zone 3 times. Maybe we should cover his ass. You got that almost cost me in my other league a win by letting Travis Kelce score 4 times. Thank God he didn't have a lot of yards to go along with those.
That's your fault for not starting Taysom Hill.
That was in our league. That was a completely different team. If I'd have did that, I could have got a win. But
let me tell you how close. It was so close to our league. So I needed either I literally needed that extra point from Daniel Carlson, or that reception from Devante Adams. That's all I needed, and I would have won.
And you got nothing.
So I got neither.
Yeah.
I got neither. So
well, I mean,
I'm dead last in our league.
No, for those of y'all that are taking part in our, are you dead last? Because I feel like that would be me.
Dead last.
Hold on, I'm gonna bring it up real quick. Let me see. Let me get to our league here. Wow, I'm still in 8th. You're in 9th, dude. You're in 9th place.
Dead last.
The American dream. American dream. All right. So that's enough about beating this horse. We don't need to do this anymore. I'm gonna learn how to play fantasy football, so I will get some wins in our league at some point. I don't know what's happening this year. Can't set a line to save my life. But
Oh, did you see Tyrann? Did you see Tyrann Mathieu had to wear a Tennessee jersey hoodie after LSU lost? He had a bet with Kamara.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. I'll put it in the show notes.
All right, let's go on to our let's go on to our picks. So if you're keeping track at home, and we know that you're not, so we are doing it for you.
Are we even keeping track for ourselves?
Coming up now.
Yeah.
We are. I'm waiting for it to pop up. I'll click the button.
Yeah,
I'm having some issues.
11-9 for me, and the captain is at 13-7.
There you go.
He's a little better at football.
Yeah, we both went 1-3 this week.
This week was again. What the hell is what NFL is this?
Neither of us.
What NFL is this? I mean, look, it's ridiculous. Okay.
I don't know. It's ridiculous.
The New York Giants have 4 wins. The NFC East, 3 out of the 4 teams are 4-1 or better. It's the NFC East.
They're turning out to be the most.
Their conference has the most wins. Period.
Not like we see. Yeah. The Vikings are beating Green Bay, and they're ahead of their division, and the Lions are at the bottom of their division where they belong. The Saints are at the bottom of our division where we don't belong. And
No,
wait,
we're second.
yeah, we're still at the bottom, right?
No, we're 2-3, so
Damn,
we're in the two
they're
spot.
that bad.
Yep, it's our division
Still
and conference record.
hope, people. Still hope.
Still hope. I mean, look, we're one game away from 500.
All right.
Everything's clicking. Taysom's back. Let's just jump into the Saints. Let's do our picks real quick, and we'll do that. So for me this week, give me Commanders over Chicago, Seattle over Arizona, Buffalo over Kansas City in the AFC Championship Part 1, and then New England over Cleveland. New England looked really good. I think Buffalo's going to do well.
I don't know why.
Seattle's on fire, man. Seattle's on fire. They're really good football.
I clicked your button, but it didn't come up.
Well,
but okay, I don't know. But I have Jacksonville over Indy. I have Philadelphia over Dallas. I have Buffalo over the New York Football Giants. And
you mean Baltimore?
I said Baltimore, right? Yeah.
You said Baltimore.
Baltimore over the New York Football Giants. I meant Baltimore. And I have Minnesota over the Miami Dolphins.
You got Jared Allen on the brain.
There you go. Look at it. Popped up finally. All right, I don't know what's on here.
Good times.
Let's hide these things. I don't know what's
happening. Technical difficulties. Oh man! So anything
Dude,
you want to talk about from like
this whole week has been a
Saints,
difficulty.
Let's talk about the Saints real quick, okay? This is the content you come for anyway.
All right.
Who dat and go Hawks? Like what?
I don't know who that
was.
was.
Highest scoring game. This is the highest scoring game of the week. Okay, I'm saying that. Yes. You've got two teams that are, Saints are doing worse than expected. Seahawks are doing fantastic. Geno Smith leads the league in completion percentage. He's second in air yards. He's second in, I think, yards per attempt. He's looking great on deep balls. I mean, he was threading needles against our secondary. Okay? Our secondary was getting shredded. So was theirs.
Yes.
But and look, the front seven for Seattle, I thought our offensive line wasn't that great, but they blocked really well for Taysom and for the run game this week. And
I was going to say, it seems like our offensive line is more geared towards a running. They seem to be more towards a running offensive line, which is not what we're used to seeing out of the Saints. We're used to seeing a more pass defense go down. But
with Taysom Hill's back, so I mean, this is great news for the team. He's going to be that X factor for the rest of the season. And once Jameis gets back,
play it right. If they play it right, Jameis did.
They need to have those two.
Today.
They just need those two in the game every play, starting in week 7 and all.
I'm worried because I hate our fan base for the most part, right? So they see Taysom do this 100-yard rushing or whatever and passing for a touchdown,
and they're going to say start Taysom.
See, Taysom needs to be the quarterback, and I feel like they just don't realize that if Taysom's the quarterback, he doesn't duplicate that ever again, right? Because you don't take your quarterback and do what you do with Taysom when you bring him in. You can't do that. We tried that. It didn't work out. We did that for what, 5 games last season? 6 games last season? It doesn't work out that way, right? Taysom is a Swiss Army knife. They make the joke of it. You can see the picture of it up on Facebook or wherever you're at, that, with Taysom Hill with his head on the end of a Swiss Army knife. And, he's that guy. He's a football player. He's not a quarterback per se. He's not a tight end per se, a running back or a receiver. He can do all those things, and he does them all good enough to where when you combine them all together, it makes a great player. But if you single him out and put him in one role, then you limit him in what he can do. And I feel like our fan base they don't want to see that. They want to see him as our quarterback, and he's just not that. I mean, he can win us games, but he's not going to be the one to bring us anywhere past this. And I don't know if Jameis is going to bring us anywhere. I don't know if Andy Dalton's going to bring us anywhere. So maybe they might be right. Maybe we just need to stick with Taysom and do the thing this year. Make it through this season. But I would either rather finish out in the playoffs or finish out dead last, because I would like to no, because our first round draft pick goes to Philly this year. So screw that. Just finish 8-8, or finish 8-9, or 9-8, middle of the pack, and give them a shit pick. Because if we can't have a good one, I don't want them to have a good one either.
That's fair. I think this year coming is going to be the Bryce Young sweepstakes, right? That's probably consensus first overall pick.
And we're not in it. Just
we're not in it. We're not in it. So we're going to have to figure something. Now, that said, if somehow Jameis doesn't work out, Cooper Rush is always out there. He's going to need a home because he's proven, I think, he's a starting quarterback at this point.
I'm worried about Cooper Rush. I mean, the dude's done amazing.
You can be.
What's going to happen?
Okay. So
we've seen
right
this
now,
before, and that's
right now, would you start Cooper Rush or Baker Mayfield right now?
Oh, definitely Cooper Rush. But I mean, like I'm saying though, we've seen this before.
Cooper Rush or Marcus Mariota.
We've seen the Cooper Rush.
Wentz.
We've seen the Carson. I was about to bring him up. There's another prime example of it. Dude was having an MVP season. He's never been able to duplicate it. He's never been able to duplicate that again. And they went and they spent all kind of money on him. Nick Foles ran the Philly into the Super Bowl, won, got pulled somewhere else, never could duplicate it. I mean, it's just we see this time and time and time again. People spend money on quarterbacks. They do what they can do, and then they move from team to team, and they don't do it. They can't duplicate that one season that does it for them. Is Cooper Rush that next guy? Do we go out and spend a crap ton of money on him and make that mistake?
Again,
you had the guy in Baltimore last year who you loved when Lamar went down. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
Because
now you say it. Not Huntley. Oh man, give me a second.
Huntley.
Was it Huntley?
Yeah. Dude's not starting anywhere. He did good for Baltimore.
Yeah, and I thought he did good enough to where he could land a starting job wherever.
He didn't. It's just you see it time and time again. Teams spend money on these quarterbacks and they just fail. And I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that person. I don't want that team. I don't want that dead money on our. We're finally getting into a spot where we're out of the Breeze contract after this year. We're going to get to trade away Sean Payton's rights next year, and maybe that'll bring us a draft pick. If we get to the right team, maybe that can put us into the
not Dallas.
No, it won't be Dallas. Dallas is winning. So, I mean, right now you're looking at
I don't know.
We need to talk about it.
Find a way to lose.
Carolina, they're head coachless. So, I mean, what happens there?
Well, that's the first domino to fall, right? So, who else is on the hot seat right now?
I have a few that are on the hot seat. I think Ron Rivera's on the hot seat. I think his seat is very, very hot. I feel that, and I know you disagree with me because we talked about this, but I think Kevin Stefanski is finding himself to be in that situation right now. And he may not get fired this year, but his seat will get hot. It will warm up. And that looks for him to be the first guy to fall next year. If it doesn't play out.
I actually don't disagree with you. I think that once
Deshaun
Watson comes back, and I think his first game is going to be ugly as sin.
Yes.
I think that his play is. I think his play is not going to be good enough to win him those last few games to get into the playoffs. and Stefanski is the one who's going to answer for this, which sucks because it's really not his. He's riding his running backs the best he can, and
but he did this last year. He did this last year with Baker, right? He always finds himself a scapegoat to get out of it, to not be the person.
But he was coach of the year He was coach of the year 2 years ago.
Right, but once again, if you can't duplicate your results, and like Bobby Hebert always says, "What have you done for me lately?"
I mean, mm-hmm.
You know?
And I mean that's fair.
And
so yeah, I agree with you. I think Stefanski's on the seat. I mean, okay, now here's Pittsburgh's 1-4.
He doesn't get fired, his seat gets really warm.
I don't see Mike Tomlin getting fired.
No, but I see him being in danger next season.
Pittsburgh's issue is quarterback.
Yes.
Has been for the last 2 years. It will be going into the draft next year. Pickett looks okay, but he's still not ready. It's going to take time. This is going to be the next few games are going to tell us what we need to know. I don't think Tomlin is on the hot seat this year, but next year he will be if the Steelers finish under 500, which they probably will.
Yeah.
Which you can't finish 500 anyway, but
who else?
I think Josh McDaniels after that stupid call.
Josh McDaniels might get fired at the end of the year, and that would be a good place for Sean Payton to end up at. Would be the Raiders.
They could just rehire John Gruden.
They could always rehire John Gruden, right? If they get the right emails in. I don't know his name. The new head coach in San Diego, not San Diego, the Chargers. I want to say it was Brandon Staley. I don't know who it is now. I think he finds himself in a warm seat if they do not make the playoffs, and would open up the door for what Sane just said, that Sean Payton's going to end up in LA.
Yes, Staley's still there, so I mean I don't see.
Okay, it is Brandon Staley.
Yeah, he's still there.
So yeah. So
he's on the hot. I'd say he's on
the hot seat. Yeah.
Now they're 3-2.
The playoffs. He's on the hot seat.
They're 3-2.
Mm-hmm.
They make the playoffs, maybe a wild card spot because I just don't see Kansas City losing that division now. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah.
And I mean, look, let's be honest. Denver's the worst team in that division. They have just happened to win games against two really bad teams by less than 20 combined points or less than 25 combined points. It's just Denver's a dumpster fire. Avoid it in everything, ladies and gentlemen. Avoid all Denver players in fantasy. Avoid just it's the most boring
dude.
football.
I was starting Russell Wilson this week so I can get 3 points from him.
Yeah, that's. I mean, if you like to cut yourself and watch yourself bleed, then maybe that's the right team for you to start.
I mean, apparently that's what I do.
Man. And then look, that's to me, that's the surprise. The Raiders have been playing well. They've been losing games by a field goal or less.
Yeah.
All of their games.
Another hot seat candidate is
we said Ron Rivera, right? Yep.
Yeah, as much as I like him, head coach with the Lions.
Yeah. Dan Campbell. Yeah.
Yeah, they're once again just right there. They're dropping those games by very few points, and they've just not been able to pull it out. So I don't know how long the Detroit ownership is going to deal with that.
Oof, that's tough.
I
don't disagree with that.
I don't know, dude.
But then
the only way the legacy is better is if he wins 2.
Yeah. But Herbert is that kind of talent. He's that kind of talent.
Yeah, but if he just pulls Herbert there and he goes and they win 1, and that's how he finishes, then it's the same thing. You go there for 10 years or 12 years and do the same thing. So, I mean, what's it going to be?
Yeah.
I think Herbert is definitely young, but I mean, it's about everything else they have going on. He like you said, he's 23, but if they can't put it together to win more than 1, then it's the same exact thing. you got us there. You brought us to the promised land, and you just keep getting us there just enough, and we just can't get over that hump. And I love Sean Payton, and I, he felt it was time for him to move on and do something different, and I can't disagree with that. It pains me to say it, but if he goes to the Chargers and he finishes
we
with
were
one Super
stale,
Bowl
man.
win
We
there,
were
then it's
we
the
were
same thing.
stale. We were
And we
stale.
still are, because we're still running that same offense and defense. So
Yeah, and look,
without
Pete
the right quarterback,
Pete
we got what we
Carmichael.
have.
I love Pete Carmichael, but I think it's also time for him to move on. I know he stayed this year to kind of give some stability on the team, but
Yeah.
I think we need a fresh new young offensive coordinator, somebody who's going to make use of the fact that Chris Olave is going to be our deep threat for a while.
Yeah,
If he could,
but
he was just getting in sync with Jameis, and you saw the deep balls to him and the no fear to the throw. I love it. I love it. I love it. Panthers, they've already fired Matt Rule. God help whoever goes there next.
yeah, that's going to be a dumpster for a while.
Arthur
They have
Smith,
nothing.
I don't think Arthur Smith is on the hot seat this year, because everyone expected the Falcons to do badly, right? I think they are the definition of tanking on purpose, but not trying to tank, but not tanking, but tanking.
I don't know.
And they're not
playing
even
hard.
tanking. They're not even
Yeah,
tanking. That's what I'm
they're
saying.
playing hard, dude.
They're
They're
2 and
doing a
3.
good job, but I mean, it's
and
just not
they
enough.
look much better than they did on paper, so
Yeah. Look, I mean, it's early. We're what, week 5, so we're starting week 6. We're through that first quarter,
yeah.
and we kind of always talk about it around this time, because this is when you're going to start seeing coaches get the axe if it's going to be midseason, or who's going to get fired at the end of the season. There's a lot of teams out there that you see Dave Aranda. Am I saying that right? The Jets head coach, that's not Aranda, right?
No,
That's wrong.
That's
No,
oh no.
Dave Aranda's not even in the NFL. That's college coach. Crap. Robert Saleh. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Saleh there in the Jets. He's turning it around over there. Daboll down in
up over
with the Giants. He's turning that around. Is down. Buffalo's more north, so he's down. He's turning that program around.
All 3 New York teams are on fire right now. All 3. They're all. This is the first time I've seen all 3 New York teams do this well in a long time.
You're starting to see some of those coaches, and I feel like the NFL always has this problem where they hire a head coach and they fire him 1 or 2 seasons after. They don't really give him a chance to build their legacy and do what they have to do. And there's already people calling for Dennis Allen to be fired, and we're 5 games into the Dennis Allen regime. And I mean, I feel like you have to give him more of a chance than that before you can fire him. And I feel like if you keep this revolving merry-go-round of coaches, you're just gonna stay
You've got to have
organization.
stability. You've got to have stability. You've got to give these guys a chance. And I get it. We're in the win now NFL, and a lot of teams this year did make big plays in the offseason. All right. There you go, DZ. Falcons. They've been money on the spread.
I'm going to fix that this week. I'm going to bet it.
Can't bet on them, so
I'm going to bet it, and that's going to ruin it. So, watch yourself. But yeah. So I mean, I'm good for the day if you are. I mean, I don't know if you
I got nothing
else,
man. I think that's about it. We talked about the surprises this year. And look, props to Dallas for doing as well as they're doing. Props to the Giants. I'm really impressed. NFC East is just looking good. Even the Commanders, they've had some.
Yeah, and that's the division that we came into the season. Like, once again, it's the I don't know what's going on, but we both walked into this going, this was going to be the worst division ever, and they're turning out to be amazing right now. The Eagles and the Cowboys, they're doing it. And the Giants are 4-1 for some reason.
Brady's getting divorced, so that's happening.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we kind of knew that was coming,
Okay,
but
so who is going to be easier to find a replacement, Tom Brady or Giselle Bundchen? We'll leave on this. Why not?
I mean, I think Giselle will find a replacement before Tom will, but
Disagree.
that's just me.
I
But
disagree.
all right. Well, I mean, look, if Giselle calls Tootsie, I mean, you're not gonna hang the phone up on her.
Nope.
I mean, you're not
She
gonna hang
won't
up
call
on
though.
Tom either. So you're not hanging up on Tom either. So who do we have as the best team in football right now, aside from the Bills? Uh,
I mean, I've got to say the Eagles.
yeah,
I've
yeah,
got to say the Eagles. They're playing phenomenal offense. They're playing phenomenal defense. They are winning their games. They are getting the takeaways they need. They're playing complete football. Um,
I'll even go out
Barring
on a
them,
limb.
I'll say the
Kansas
Chiefs.
City, yeah.
Yeah, and then
I
if
mean,
you
it's
really, I don't see anybody in the West, the South, or the NFC North even creeping in on that. The
yeah.
Bills, the Chiefs, and the Eagles for sure. But I mean, I can't ignore 5-0.
No, I mean you can't. But I mean the Bills. To me, the Bills are still definitely the best team in football in the NFL, even with that loss.
Oh yeah,
And
I
um,
you can make that case.
you know, I agree. The Eagles 5-0. You can't ignore it. They are really good this year. And then Kansas City, like we've said. I mean that's the top three teams in football right now. Um, they can go off at any moment and do what they have to do and win some games. So that's who we have.
Yeah. All right,
Uh,
guys. Thank you all for watching. As always, we do appreciate it.
we'll try to be on time next
Well,
week. Get y'all back on
yeah,
Tuesday, and
yeah. But Catherine and I were out of town, so
so
it was tonight, and I'll be out of town tomorrow. So fun times. I gotta get up early, but
yeah.
thanks everybody. DZ everybody. Appreciate y'all.
All right, guys.
Sorry I missed the game, buddy, but
Deuces.
deuces.